We now come to arrays. Arrays are a very useful scripting element. They're very similar to variables with one important difference. Variables can only hold one value at any given time, while arrays hold multiple values in a single instance. Let's look at an example from a script that we've already worked with. When we worked with filters and creating filters using ActionScript, we work with arrays. Here's an example of a filter array. I'm creating a new array with these three values in the array: drop shadow, bevel, and blur. So you can see that it's like a variable, but it holds multiple values there. Also, Flash used arrays to copy our motion tween to ActionScript previously. Here's that example of converting animation to code. If we open up the Actions panel here, you can see that this script is actually dominated by arrays. Here we have our array values, add property to the array, X direction, Y direction, scale X, scale Y. In this case, each entry or array entry represents a changing property of the animation. Here it represents a changing position in the X direction. Here a changing position in the Y direction, up and down. Here the X scale value is changing per frame. And here the scale in the Y direction, or the size in the Y direction, is changing. So in this case, both the X and the Y position is changing, as well as the size is changing as this object moves from frame to frame across the stage. But let's back up a bit and look at a much more simple example. I have a roster, let's say, with student names and phone numbers in my gradebook. This roster might look like this, where I have John, Mike, Jan, and then 20 other students with their phone numbers next to it. To write this in ActionScript, we could do it using an array variable, my roster array equals new array, and I go ahead and set up the values in the array. Roster position 0, which is actually the first position, equals John, then Mike, then Jan, and then all the way out to number 19, which will be Sam. Notice that if I have 20 members in my array, I only go up to 19 because I have a 0 position. A little bit confusing there. So I'm going to start from the 0 position, so 20 positions in the array is actually represented in the array by position 19. We could also write the array information like this, a little bit more compact, takes up less space. I think this is actually a better way to introduce you to arrays, kind of gives you that feeling or that essence of an array as a list of variables here, or a collection of variables. But you can also write it like this to save space. Now, if we wanted to retrieve values in the array, we would do it with a script like this: variable second student colon string equals my roster, and then inside of these square braces the number 1. So again, arrays start with the value 0. So this would retrieve or actually get the value Mike in this array, and then place it inside of this variable called second student. Notice that I'm identifying the type of variable. It's going to be a string variable, so that's why I need the quotation marks up there in my array. Let's now move on to the next movie, and let me review how to create custom methods in ActionScript 3.0.